When we have emotions, we have head spin. Sometimes the emotions are healthy, sometimes they work for us, and sometimes they work against us. But stillness, which is required for intuition, is the absence of all emotions. The way we get rid of emotions, or the way we control emotions, is to make them our friends. Any emotion that's not your friend becomes your enemy. And we know the rule, keep your enemies close. So it might be wise to think of an emotion like little birds spinning around, and you can actually feed them and you can play with them and you can enjoy their presence, even the bad ones. Things that you don't want to have appear in your daily life, you need to manage your emotional level of your thought process to either bring emotions on board or let them go. And in order to be intuitive, you need to be able to bring those emotions in and out at your pleasure. And that's what we're going to work on in this video today. Bye for now. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. This is Chris, and look, today we're working on intuition, and I managed to spell it right for a change. Step one is stillness, and I've done a podcast on the podcasting app, and I've done a blog on this topic, and now I'm going to do a video. So wow, we're really overwhelmed with introductory information on stillness and intuition. I hope I can keep it up for the 45 days of the program. I doubt that I'll have time, but let's see what we can do, and maybe I'll do every third day a video to catch up on what we've talked about on the blog and the podcast talking about intuition. So step one, stillness. So if you've worked with me before, you know that we've worked on what they call the back on track process or the daily power hour. And my promise is this, that if you start working on the daily power hour, you'll start to see into the future. And if you see into the future, you'll be able to predict what's going to happen and you'll prepare yourself for it. So instead of operating like 99% of the rest of the world do, which is in a loser mindset, which is wait till you hit the wall and then realize that you should have had better brakes, or wait till you hit the wall and realize that you should have had better stress management processes in place, or wait till you hit the wall and realize that the process you were using to entertain and engage a relationship was perfect for when you were 20, but isn't perfect for when you were 35. So the hit and crunch process is how the world lives, and that's what's called self-help and self-development and corporate development, but it isn't how we work. We say, we want to evolve ahead of the curve because we want to be entrepreneurs, we want to be entrepreneurial, we want to be spirited in this world. And so we want to be ahead of the curve, not behind it. To get ahead of the curve, we're going to have to be predictive. We're going to say, what the hell am I going to need in 12 months' time? What the hell is going to happen to me in 2 months' time or even later today? And how do I prepare myself for that so that I'm one step ahead and not ever, ever, ever surprised? Surprise is a sign of laziness. So if we go into a meeting, if we go into a business situation, or we go into a relationship and we get surprised by what happens, it's just because we were hanging out in the past, living in the present by emotion, and we weren't engaged in our intuition. We weren't engaged in preparing ourselves and developing ourselves and evolving ourselves ahead of the curve for the future. So everything that I teach, and this is the truth, so help me, everything that I teach you will learn. It may be in 10 years, it may be in 20 years, and you will learn it by experience. All I'm trying to do is give you the benefit of hindsight, give you the benefit of experience before you live the life. In other words, give you an advantage. A competitive advantage in the world is that you don't have to experience stuff. You don't have to wait for it to happen in order to gain the knowledge from it happening. You can accelerate. Now, we've taken, for example, many people who would have taken 5-10 years to become a CEO and fast-tracked them within one. I've taken several athletes who would have taken 15 years to gain the experience that would normally happen in a 15-year period, and I've given them that experience in 1 or 2 years. With that, it means we put our foot on the accelerator. We put our foot hard down on the accelerator and we go for it. In going for it, it means the incidents that would normally take 15 years to come our way will come our way much faster. So we'll be dealing with more stuff. And that's one of the consequences of being on purpose in life. on vision. You deal with more stuff more often, and you have to deal with it faster because you've got your foot on the accelerator. Now, many people go, oh, I'm not so sure. I want to have some uncomfortable in my life. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. I want to face all these injuries, or I'm not so sure. I want to have all this trouble at home. I'm not so sure. Well, if you're not so sure, get off the bike. That's the truth of it. If you want to go into something, go into it and pay the price. And if it's building a business, your relationship's going to struggle. If it's building a sport, your health is going to struggle. If you're going to do something, pay the price. And if you want to go fast, which means become a champion or become the best at it, what you're saying is, I don't want to wait for 20 years to become good at this. I want to become good at this in a relatively short period of time. And therefore, I want to compress what I would have learned over 20 years into one. When you compress what you would have learnt over 20 years into one, you have to deal with stuff on a more frequent basis. And that's the purpose of a coach, to help you be one step ahead of a very fast moving, very fast accelerating lifestyle. And that means you don't live fast. What you do is you deal with stuff before it happens, and you gain the experience of 20 years in one. Let's get back now to the Wheel of Fortune. I love this diagram because it's the back on track process, and I invented it. So it's fantastic because I love it and it works. I basically said, if you can do something every single day, you will be ahead of the curve. Your intuition will be on fire. You'll be ahead of the curve. You'll be operating at a great space. It'll be fun. It'll be enjoyable and no surprises. And here's how it works. I'll just summarize it now, because we're going to go through it over the next 45 days. But it goes like this. The first and most important thing is to make sure you get your shit together emotionally. The second most important thing is to make sure you're the boss of your body. The third most important thing is to recognize that your environment, the people you hang out with, the things you say to yourself, the things you say to other people, the space you're in, the underpants you wear, the whole thing is important to lifestyle, and it will change so quickly. I have thrown out around about $20,000 worth of clothes in a 3 or 4 year period that normally I would have kept them for 15 or 20. My life is accelerating so fast that even the clothing I wear and the brand that I represent has to accelerate with the life that I'm living. I want to be ahead of the curve. So I own it. I changed the environment. We've changed our house. We've changed everything. And we continually improve and grow and modify to keep ahead of the curve. I don't spend money I haven't got. I don't borrow money to do these things. So in other words, I'm not taking out bank loans in order to have a car or to have a helicopter or an aeroplane or try and pose off. What I'm saying is I earn the things, but at the same token, I recognize the importance of style. I recognize the importance of environment, and I upgrade it as often as I can. It's not always about money. The fourth thing is about priorities. Now, goals are not really all that important. You know what you want. You don't have to write them down really. But in order to prioritize your life, to know what's going to come first, second, third, fourth, which means to organize your brain, we need to write down our goals and give priorities to them and know what on a daily basis comes first, second, third, fourth. And a person who prioritizes their life, not a person who sets goals. We all have goals. A person who prioritizes their life will be the first to the end, to across the finishing line. That person will be the one with their foot on the accelerator. The next one is financial. Now, we call this vision because everything you do in a vision quest comes down to money. And you might be a little bit hippie and you might go, oh, no, it doesn't come down to money. It comes down to me and my big heart and dreaming. No, it comes down to money. Let me tell you, if you've got some idea, you want to have a vision to do something, create something, help somebody, go somewhere, change something, you need a mullah. And so therefore a vision quest always comes down to a dollar number. And that dollar number becomes like a permission, a gate, because otherwise if your hands are cuffed and you've got a job and you're working 9 to 5 and the job's just ticking along and you go, well, with $50 a week, I could possibly buy a different brand of toothpaste, well, that's the pace of your life. But if you want to put your foot on the accelerator, as we do with Inner Wealth, if we want to take 20 years of life and learn it in one, we need the financial resources to do it. And that's going to mean stepping outside the norm and making some money and having a vision that will cause you to stay on track. The last but not least, and it's really important, is how you talk to yourself. I have written on my website that you are amazing. And I believe I say to myself 50 times a day, I'm amazing. Now, I'm not trying to be better than you. I'm not trying to be better than anybody else. I don't care about anybody else. I'm trying to talk to myself because deep down inside me, there's a little kid going, no, you're not. You're not. Oh, you're not amazing at all. Oh, you're just really, you screw up. You're not really amazing. And I really want to talk myself into believing that I'm amazing. I say, my partner says to me, oh, Chris, you're so beautiful. And I go, I know. And she goes, it's really hard because it's so contradictory to the humility that we're encouraged to believe. But the fact is, if you can't say it to yourself, don't expect others to. So this is the Wheel of Fortune. So we're going to go back to the basic conversation about this particular video. And the particular video we're talking about today is the development of emotional control. Now, I'm not saying that we don't have emotions. I love emotions. I'm an emotional person in the world. I cry at movies. I get really depressed sometimes when things don't go right. I get angry. I get fearful. So I'm not saying don't have emotions. That's ridiculous. What I'm saying is make emotions your friend. Keep your enemies close. So even the dark emotions, you need to befriend them rather than trying to get rid of them. Your sadness, your anger, your frustration, your ignorance, your clumsiness, all these things, these emotions, bring them close, have them as friends, take them out for dinner every now and again, find the benefit of them and use them when appropriate. But we can control our thinking process so that we don't need the lower emotions as often as we may have in the past. Our thinking process, which is what I'm going to talk about now, is the cause of emotions. So I don't care about the emotions. The emotions are a result. The emotions are a result of how we think. Let's have a look. The world sells us this package. Here's the package. Ha ha! I'm so happy. I'm so happy. And then you see people on yachts in the Riviera and tennis players who've retired going, well, learn to enjoy the game. And it's easy. It's easy for me to say, learn to enjoy your life because I've lived it. But when you're in it and you're trying to achieve something and you're applying yourself to becoming a world champion or an athlete, or you're applying yourself to become a great tycoon in business or a great family person, whatever you've committed yourself to and make it one, you have to give yourself to it. And in that time, it isn't, everything's perfect. There's priorities. Some things are going to get less prioritized than others. And the reason we struggle with this is always this. We have a mum over here and we have a dad over here, and we have two characters, and we sort of go, I like this one more than that one, or I like something, I don't like something in this one, but I do like something in that one. And so what we start to do is we develop this two-facedness, split personality. We've got the part of us we like, and we've got the part of us we don't like. And what happens then is we put on a brave face to the public, and we cry in private. And this becomes tough. This becomes really tough because to be anything in life, to be anything fantastic, to do the thing you would love to do, you need both mum and dad, all of the qualities that they represented to you. And yet some part of you goes, I never want to be like that man. Or I never want to be like her, so stood on and so walked all over. Or we develop stories. And those stories lock us down because they make our emotions our enemies. They make them things that we can't control. And so when we say, like, for example, Dad was really angry. Well, anger's out for me. I'm going to be meditating and be really spiritual. Every time anger comes up, we don't like ourselves. We don't like it. We don't like the emotion. We don't like Dad. We don't like that part of ourselves. And next thing you know, the anger is an enemy acting on us, because every single human being has every single human quality. So we're all angry. We all get angry. It's just when a person doesn't like their anger, the anger is operating on them rather than them using their anger to get them across the line somewhere. So this emotional stuff we're talking about really starts to dig down. And that's why in corporate programs, and that's why in coaching, people are really nervous about it. They go, I want to hang on to my belief about my mums and dads. I want to hang on. I want to hate my dad until I die. I don't want to be like my mum. And they get all locked down, and they believe that their movie, their story, their thing that they hold on to, and therefore the social beliefs that creates are accurate. But they're not. They're just social beliefs. And they're fine, as long as we know that they're just social beliefs, not necessarily the truth. Because to do what you want to do, no matter what it is, whether it's build a hospital or go into a third world country or become a sports individual or lead a country or lead a business or become an entrepreneur or make it just to make a fortune and go and live on a yacht somewhere, you're going to need all your qualities. You're going to have to like you. And that's not easy. So the line between beginning and end of the journey of life, whatever you want, this is what I want, this is where I am. You can spend a lot of your energy on the emotions, or you can say, frig that, I'm going to go from A to B. However, along the way to A to B, there's going to be temptations. There's going to be challenges. And what there's going to be is, I don't like you, I do like you. And what the question is, if we only go to the I do like you side of this equation, I'll make this in red because I can. If we only go to the do like you and try to avoid the I don't like you side of things, we're going to draw this line. Instead of being from A to B, it's going to go way up here and then come way down. And then the other side of life, because life is in balance, you know that, the other side of life is going to present itself, but you'll still get here. It'll just take 20 years instead of 1. And that's what we're trying to stop. So let's have a look at this. This is very interesting. I love this. I think it's very comical. How attracted you are to a person and how attracted that person is to you. When you're with the one, you want the many. When you're with the many, you want the one. When you're infatuated, people run away. There's an old quote, and it goes, flee and they follow, follow and they flee. So the most attractive you can be to another human being is to have a purpose greater than the relationship, to have something, whether it's a gold medal at the Olympics, or whether it's a business you're building, or whether it's a church you're trying to construct, or whether it's a charity you're trying to support, or whether it's a book you want to write, or whatever it is, the most attractive you'll ever be is when that thing becomes more important than the relationship. Because when the other person in your life becomes more important than the thing you're working on, you become unattractive. Flee and they follow, follow and they flee. A person who follows is a person who doesn't have a purpose in life bigger than their relationship. And that, I promise you, is a toxin. So, getting our shit together, getting our life together emotionally, thinking correctly so the emotions flow from good thinking. Firstly, we have to realize there are 7 areas of life. And a balanced person is balanced in each area of life, in each area of life, not by each area of life. Now, when people go, oh, I need the weekend off, I'm just so fried from my work. What they're actually saying is I'm totally incompetent at work. And now I'm going to blow my whole weekend hanging out with my partner so they recover me just in time for me to go and be stupid again next week. Or, oh, Christmas. When the holidays come, I I work myself to the ground. That's so stupid, because work with a tired person is not productive. And a person who needs a holiday to recover from work is really living the most traumatic and terrible life. Balance at work, balance at home, balance. And so we may not be able to devote a maximum amount of time equally distributed in all the 7 areas of life. For example, some entrepreneurs I work with get 3 minutes a day for exercise, but I can keep them fit in 3 minutes a day because I don't spend the rest of the day eating shit that makes them unhealthy. So I help them get fit, cardiovascular fitness at a highest level over the age of 50 with 3 minutes a day of exercise. Now, most of us spend more because we can, and we have fun, and we use it for social benefits as well. But time is no measure of balance. And we have to eliminate time as any metric or any barometer, or whether we're being a good anything for that matter. So when we talk about balance, we talk about being spiritually balanced, socially balanced, mentally balanced, health balanced, financially balanced, familial balanced, career balanced, but we're not talking about how much time we spend in each one. We might spend 5 minutes in career being balanced. If we're an entrepreneur and we've worked out how to do it, it may only take 5 minutes to say, I'm on track with my career. I can see the business growing and it's growing really well and I've got people looking after it. I'm going fishing. Familial, you might say, kids go to school, they make their own lunch, they come home at night. I just need to spend an hour with them every day so they know that I'm here and they know that I love them. It's not a measure of time. Are you balanced in your family life? Yes, I am. Relationship. You might not be able to spend every single day and every single night with your partner, but when you do, are you fully there? Is there anybody in the world that admires them more than you? If there is, end of relationship. It's not about time. It's about quality. Financial. Your financial, if it's hooked into your salary from work, you're bucket, because your salary at work is going to grow at this rate. We need your salary your income and your financial status to grow with exponential growth, compound interest. So properties and things that have compounding interest become of interest. And therefore, your salary, what you get from work, is no measure of going to be your wealth. It's going to be the measure of your cash flow that you can use to grow wealth. And that's balance. And it may only take an hour a week to be balanced financially. Health, as we've talked about, 3 minutes a day. I can keep an entrepreneur fully fit. And I know that's surprising. You think, oh, I've got to do 40 minutes. No. And mental, read books. Nah, forget that. 90% of the books you read are garbage. You will forget them in 6 months. They're self-help, new age, shallow little books that are written for the mass consciousness and have no interest. The time you spent looking at YouTube, the time you spent looking at quotes and things on Instagram, it's a total waste of time. Mental strength comes from IP. What's IP? Intellectual property. What do you know about what you're doing right now that you could teach? And is it different to what anybody else has taught before? If it's the same as what everyone else has taught before, it's boring. If you're taking stuff out of a book or taking stuff off the internet and regurgitating it and giving it back and saying, I'm teaching something, you're not. Mental IP is what you know that nobody else thought of before. That's where intuition, inspiration come in, by the way. So, how do we do it? The big how. There's always what, when, where, why, and last but not least, there's always how. It's not what you think that's important. It's how you think. So people will spend a lot of time looking at quotes and saying, think like this, think like that. This is what you should think. This is what you should think. But if underpinning that is the friend-enemy, the evil-good paradigm, you bug it. And let me show you this. It's really cool. If I have anger and I put on the other side of anger kindness, I have the friend-enemy paradigm operating. So what I will say is I'll become a two-faced person, a split-tongue person. In other words, I'll take the angry part of myself and hide it over here. And what I'll do is I'll create a face with kindness. I will mask up. And I'll put on a happy face, a masked, kind face, because that gets me what I want. But this other self, this one, remember Men in Black, the guy with the head that comes out of his shoulder? This other self is talking. Hello, what are you doing today? You're going to bullshit that you're being kind, are you? Well, what the hell do you think you're doing? And this second self is a little puppet over here, hidden away, and it's talking all the time. And other people who have intuitions, which at the higher end of life they all do, is going to hear this as well. And then you're going to become this person going, oh, I'm so kind. I really would like to help you all today with this lecture, and I'd like to help you all in this board meeting. Bullshit. And people pick up on the duality, and then they start to get suspicious. Yeah, I know you mean that you're kind. I know you think that you're kind. I know the 10 Commandments say to be kind, and I know you're trying to be kind, but I hear another voice. I hear split face. I hear duality. Now, if you take anybody that masks up, ties up their little doily and becomes really sweet and nice and be kind to everybody at work, you know they're beating the shit out of somebody at home. So we don't want to advocate this kind of like this what to think paradigm where there's a paradox between who you are and who you should be. What we're going to say is we're going to make friends with both. So your anger, for example, as I've used in this example on the sketchpad, your anger is a friend, and you need to make friends with it. And the way you do that is to find benefit for it. And then you get to choose when you use it. Your kindness is also a friend, equally as venomous as anger, but you only see the benefit at the moment. And what you need to do is to find the drawbacks of being kind so that kindness is not your infatuation. So you don't have a one face going, I'll be publicly kind, and then being a devil in disguise when the door gets shut and you start drinking alcohol and taking the drugs and so the dark side, which we usually eat to hide or drink to hide. So friendly with both of ourselves. And so they become not so much merged. There's not an angry, kind person sitting here, but you get to choose which emotions you need to have at any one moment. Now, we could say there are negative emotions, anger and things that are quite violent, and we don't want to have them in everyday life. And certainly they're not welcome at a high level of business. It doesn't mean you don't have them. What it means is they're your friend, and you say, look, would you mind waiting outside while I have this meeting? You're not condemning them. You're not sending them to hell. You're not burning them in the flames. You're not actually being run by them either, so they don't just pop out anytime they choose. What they're there is you just go for a walk on a Sunday afternoon. You go, this is my angry self, and I really love this part of me, and if ever I needed it, if ever I need you, angry you, please come and help me, because sometimes it's really tough in this world and I need a little bit of anger to get me through. So it's not what you think, it's how you think that makes the difference at the start of the process of finding stillness, which is the start of the process of becoming intuitive. This is Chris. You have a beautiful day. Bye.